Hi, Julie Rader here with the astrological update. So as always, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and share. I'm doing this one a bit differently. I will be covering the next 2 weeks for a few reasons. One, because it is a huge energy leading up to this Virgo full moon, which also is the same day that Saturn changes signs. When the outer planets change signs, it's a huge deal because when the outer planets change signs, it's when we experience changes in the collective in our own lives as well. March is a huge month astrologically. We have been January and February, astrologically speaking, has been a bit of the calm energy before things ramp up. So I'm not going to use the analogy of the calm before the storm. One, because we've been dealing with a lot of storms here in California and all over the US, really. But two, it doesn't have to be stormy weather. It could be that things will be changing, but it could be in a really beautiful way. It depends on how much work we've already been doing in our own lives and our mindset. Mindset is everything with these kinds of changes, but really in every area of life. So it's important that we have some kind of mental agility to deal with it. Also wanted to do the next 2 weeks because I'm going to be gone next weekend teaching yoga at the Vibrational Astrology Conference in Gainesville, Florida. And I'm doing this, I am a student right now of this 2-year program with David Cochran, who's an amazing teacher. Honored to be part of the program. So, but I will be traveling, so I knew that I wouldn't be able to put the time and energy and effort into doing next week separately. So it's such a big week next week that I felt getting it out there sooner to prepare you for this energy is more beneficial. Okay, so I'm going to touch on just over the next 2 weeks, the major aspects that we have. I'm not going to go through where the moon is each day like I normally do. I'll touch on all of the next 2 weeks. And then at the end, I'm going to go through each sign and let you know where these energies will be impacting you, what area of life in your chart. Okay, starting with March 1st, we have Venus in Aries conjunct Jupiter. This is so beautiful when the two benefics, Jupiter, the greater benefic, and Venus, the lesser benefic, that's what they were called in ancient astrology. When they come together, it is this beautiful, vibrant energy. So I love this aspect in Aries. March 1st, a great day to just do something when it's in the evening, March 1st. So some of you may be feeling it more March 2nd, but March 1st and 2nd, and these kind of energy, all these aspects that I'm going to be mentioning are aspects that you're going to feel not just on that day. You will feel like this one on March 1st, you're going to feel it all week leading up to it. And pretty much the whole week, a lot of these aspects are like that. Okay, so when Venus and Jupiter come together, there can be an energy of overdoing. That is definitely a possibility. However, it's this beautiful energy. Do something that makes your heart happy. Do something that, like art, go to a museum, spend time with friends or a loved one. Do something that is just joyful. Is really, especially when it's in Aries too, it's a kind of energy where you want to make the most of it in a way that is playful and fun. On March 2nd, we have Mercury conjunct Saturn, and that will be Mercury's last aspect before moving into Pisces. So Mercury is the planet of gathering information, data. It's a planet of communication. When it's conjunct Saturn, it is really where we may go through, if there's something you've been working on, it's a great day to do editing work or to go back and dot your I's and cross your T's, or just to really make sure that that you are eliminating the things in your life that are too much for your nervous system. When Mercury is conjunct Saturn, it says, okay, What electronical devices, maybe you've been spending too much time plugged in electronically. Maybe this Mercury conjunct Saturn says, you know what, we need to take a day and unplug. I love this kind of energy. Some of you know I spent 33 days in silence at an ashram, no talking, reading, or writing. That is Mercury conjunct Saturn. That's that kind of energy where it says, okay, let's be really, really disciplined. So if there's something you've been working on, then make a plan. This would be a great day to write a business plan, something of that nature. Then right after Mercury is conjunct Saturn, its next movement, Mercury's, is it moves into Pisces. Mercury in Pisces is way more dreamy. In Aquarius, it has been big thinking. It will be in Pisces too. However, in Aries, it can be a bit more detached to see the big picture. In Pisces, it will feel its way through the big picture. It will dream about what is coming next. It can be very have prophetic dreams, and intuition is heightened if we're tuned in. Then on March 3rd, on 3-3, we have Venus in Aries conjunct Chiron. This is a beautiful healing energy. So this is an aspect of forgiveness of yourself. It is time to nurture yourself, to nurture your loved ones, to heal any wounds that you have with yourself or with others. Then on March 5th, we have Mercury and Pisces making a sextile, beautiful, harmonious aspect of opportunity with the North Node in Taurus. There is a lot this week between the 2nd and the 5th, and then this leading up to this Virgo full moon, which can be energy of really, what is your business plan? What is your vision? How can you put it on paper? How can you make it a reality? There's a lot of that energy this week. Then on March 6th, it's my birthday. We have the sun in Pisces making a sextile, beautiful again, aspect of harmonious opportunity to Uranus and Taurus. So when the sun and Uranus come together, it's a big energy. It is expect the unexpected, but this really is in a harmonious way. Something can just happen out of the blue, and it shines light on maybe you're gaining clarity on an area of your life, especially where Pisces is, the Pisces area in your chart, and where Taurus is. So we'll look at those two areas, because when they're coming together, you could be gaining some clarity on those aspects of life. Then on March 7th, now this is an energy we're going to be feeling all week leading up to it and the week after. This Virgo full moon, this is a big full moon. It's happening at 16 degrees and 40 minutes, so almost 17 degrees of Virgo. Look where Virgo is, right in the middle of Virgo. Look where that is in your chart. Also where Pisces is, because so the sun is in Pisces and the moon is in Virgo. They are opposite each other in the sky. They're at the same, when the moon comes to that same degrees where the sun is, that's what creates a full moon. We have it every month. Usually we have one full moon, one new moon for each sign every month. Although these Aries new moons coming up, we will have 2 of them. But I'll speak about that in the next video. So this Virgo full moon is happening at 4:40 a.m. Pacific time, again, 16, 17 degrees of Virgo. Now, what is interesting about this full moon is that is happening at 4:40 a.m. and then less than an hour later at 5:34 a.m., Saturn moves into Pisces. Now, Saturn is an outer planet, and it spends a couple of years in each sign. So it's a big deal when it changes signs. Saturn has been for the last about the last 4 years, but the last 2 signs it's been in it has been the ruler of the sign. Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. It was in Capricorn, and then Saturn moved into Aquarius. Saturn is the ancient ruler of Aquarius. Now it's been at home. Now it's moving into Pisces. Pisces is all about the unconscious and the subconscious. Saturn is about focusing on the here and now. Saturn eliminates all of anything that is not essential to living our life in a disciplined way that makes sense. Pisces are not always like that. The shadow side of Pisces can be addiction or disillusionment. The higher octave of Pisces is really tapping into our spirituality, unconditional universal love. So when Saturn moves into Pisces, Saturn really needs to adjust to its new environment. And Pisces energy needs to adjust to having Saturn, the authoritarian, the disciplinarian, come into its home. So these next couple of years, it's going to be really, we can see so many things happening in our world. On a personal level, this can be going in and cutting away. If we have addictive tendencies, this Saturn in Pisces will begin to cut it away. It will say, you know what, you've been spending too much time on screens, or you know what, I really don't want you to be drinking alcohol or smoking cigarettes, or you've been sleeping in a bit too much. I'd like you to get up early and have a disciplined regimen every morning. That's when Saturn in Pisces has the ability to do. Now, we may have been getting nudges leading up to this, because it's not like Saturn just walks into Pisces and Pisces is like, I didn't know you were coming. Pisces knows Saturn's coming into its home. So even leading up to it, even months leading up to it, Pisces entered the Pisces house is starting to get ready for Saturn entering. So this is something that you have been thinking of. And with Saturn in Pisces, whatever is not healthy and not for your highest good, whatever has been in excess, it will be easier to release it with Saturn in Pisces. Doesn't mean it'll be easy, but it will be easier, especially if you're willing to do the work. That's what Saturn wants. Saturn wants us to do the work. And the Pisces house can be like, I just want to lay around and do nothing. And Saturn says, no, it's time. Let's get disciplined. Let's do this. This is a great energy for setting up a sadhana. A sadhana is a spiritual practice that you do every morning. So a wonderful day at this Virgo full moon. Virgo also is disciplined and all about service. This would be a great time to go to an ashram. If you're not going to an ashram, just at home, set the timer for 11 minutes every day. There have been so many studies. I'm not going to get too much into the research of it, but basically Harvard has done studies, and Princeton and Mayo Clinic and all of these huge institutions, all on different kinds of meditation. And they've all come to the realization that it doesn't really matter what kind of meditation you're doing. They all have the same effects on enhancing and increasing the gray matter at the frontal lobe of your brain. And this, in layman terms, translates to a happier life, better immunity, and just better overall quality of life and clarity. So who doesn't need that? They're saying if you, the research is showing you can be at least 10% happier if you meditate every day and you increase this gray matter in the frontal lobe of your brain. And they've, all different institutes have done the studies for different amounts of time. And so I think the shortest amount of time that they've noticed is 11 minutes. So 11 minutes daily in as little as 6 weeks is when you start to have the physiological changes. So get up earlier, 11 minutes earlier, set the alarm, and just focus on your breath for 11 minutes. Or there are so many. I have a lot of meditations on YouTube, on my website. JulieRader.com. There are apps, Calm app, things like that. Find a meditation that works for you, because again, it doesn't matter what style it is. Just commit to doing that daily. You do this at this Virgo full moon and when Saturn moves into Pisces, and you may be amazed at what comes out of it. Every time I do a sadhana, either 40-day or 90-day sadhana, I come out with, I look back at what has happened during that period of time, and I'm always amazed at how much my life has transformed for the better. So saying all of this, I'm definitely going to start that on this Virgo full moon as well. So this Virgo full moon really asking to take a good hard look at your life and where can you make improvements by releasing. And I've been talking about this all leading up to it, January, February, even in December, about how it's the time to declutter and release and let go. So this is the time now where if you've done that work, where you're just going to get so much clarity. If you haven't, full moons are a great time for shedding. It's not too late. Go through, get rid of what is not going to help propel you into the next chapter in your life. Pisces is big energy and it's big picture. It's dreaming. Saturn is putting roots down and making these dreams a reality, but we must have space in our life for it. Declutter, let go, release. Then the final aspect I'm going to talk about before going through the signs is on 3/11. So March 11th, we have Venus and Aries making a beautiful harmonious sextile to Mars and Gemini. Great day for a date. This would be this energy of coming together harmoniously, fun, laughter, passion. Wonderful day for a date. And we have Mercury and Pisces making a sextile to Uranus and Taurus. Now, when Mercury and Uranus come together, it is really this energy of, okay, wow. So you might get these insights that are coming in. Again, similar to when Mercury's in Aquarius or when Uranus is in Aquarius, the energy of these flashes of genius that come in. So when Mercury and Uranus come together, we may just get these downloads of information. Write them down. Another great energy for really getting clear on what you want and then making an action plan. Dream it, dream bigger, and then start writing down the action steps you're going to take to make your dream a reality. And then we also, on March 11th, have Jupiter and Aries conjunct Chiron. There is an opportunity for massive, big healing to occur on this day. So allow forgiveness of yourself, of others. And looking at all of these aspects as one, it'll be interesting to see what happens in the stock market on March 11th, because we have Venus and Uranus involved. They are sextiles. So it could be a really positive, or it could just be that there's an upswing in both crypto and stocks that day. Interesting, always interesting to see what happens. Okay, now going through each of the signs and seeing where this full moon and Saturn entering into Pisces is going to affect you in your chart. And because they're happening in polar areas, so just like the full moon, we have the moon in Virgo across the sky from Pisces, where the sun is. We have Saturn moving in there too. Now, Saturn and the sun, they're like 16 degrees apart. So they're not conjunct. I mean, in some forms of astrology, a conjunction of the sun is 16 degrees. So it is part of it for sure, that movement, but it's not a tight conjunction at all. But it is still in that house. So we're going to start with Pisces because this is big. We have Saturn moving into the sign of Pisces. It is going to affect your first house. And then where the moon is, this full moon is shining a light on your seventh house. So this full moon and Saturn moving into Pisces is really in your first house, is really looking at, okay, where can you clean up your appearance? Where can you clean up your health and how you step out into the world? What can you eliminate? Is it time to eliminate sugar? Is it time to get up in the morning and start an exercise routine or a sadhana, like I was talking about? This would be great for you, Pisces. Also, is it time for you to do an entire rebranding of who you are? With Saturn and Pisces, you may find that you are wanting to dress differently. You might find that you are drawn to dressing more classically, where maybe you used to dress in a more frilly or romantic or bohemian style. You may be wanting to just wear all black and with just a nice jacket or something, or just really pare down. You might want to pare down your entire closet to where you just have the essentials. So that's really could be happening. Now this full moon is shining a light on your relationships, your one-on-one relationships with others. Really the theme for you, Pisces, at this full moon is your needs versus another person's needs and balancing it out. You tend to lose yourself sometimes in relationships or in the needs of others. You are being asked to take a look at what your needs are and how you can still be in relationship with others. Aries, this is happening for you. So this Saturn is moving into your 6th house, the house of health and day-to-day routines. You are being asked to look at your day-to-day routines. If you're spending a lot of time on social media or watching TV or doing something that is pulling away from your energy level, you're being asked to cut that out or to really decrease it. Saturn in there, you're looking at your health routines, the exercise that you do, what you put into your body, things like that. This full moon is happening in your 12th house. It's shining a light on, so 12th house is a house of addictions. So maybe there are areas in your life that you need to really look at and say, oh, you know what? I've been spending too much time on this, or I have been consuming too much of this, either physically or, energetically, whatever it is. You're really being asked to cut loose. This full moon, you may feel like going inward at this full moon, not being outward so much. And for you, Aries, you're about to have 2 new moons in your house. This full moon, I encourage you, go through with a fine-tooth comb and let go of any extras in your life, anything that is not essential to your well-being, to what you need in your life. Because these new moons coming in, you have an opportunity for brand new beginnings coming up, but you have to have space for it. Let go, release, physical, material objects, as well as addictions, emotions, all of it. Taurus, this is happening for you in your 5th and your 11th house. Now, the 5th house is the house of children. It's the house of entrepreneurship, and it's the house of romance. So when Saturn moves into your 5th house, you may be looking and realizing that maybe it's important that if there's anything going on with your children, maybe you need to set clearer boundaries. Maybe, or maybe it's just that maybe you need to set boundaries with other people so that you can spend more time with your children. It could be for you also, if you're an entrepreneur, Saturn moving in there is really asking you to be disciplined in the work that you're doing so that you can lay a foundation and grow your business and grow creatively as well. Okay, and the full moon is happening in your 11th house. This is the house of friendships. Taurus, you are looking at your friends. Maybe if it does have to do with your children, maybe it's looking at their friends. Maybe you're realizing that it's important to prioritize your children right now. which means maybe less social events with others. Maybe it is shining a light on your tribes of people that you spend time with, or your social media, or any kind of online endeavors. And you're being asked to really focus on that right now and grow an online business as well. Gemini, this is happening for you in your 4th and 10th house. So Saturn moving into your 4th house, you will want to release also everything in your home that isn't serving you. So go through, declutter, what aren't you using, let it go, release it. Go through and clear out your entire home as much as you can. Also go through, with Saturn moving in there too, maybe setting boundaries also with your family members and your loved ones as well. So the full moon is in your 10th house. This is your house of career. There is a huge light being shown on your career. So you are being asked to find this balance, this full moon, between your career and your family life. And it's time to start putting some energy into your career because you're ready to be in the spotlight. Cancer, this is happening for you. This Saturn is moving into your, I'm sorry, I had that wrong. So Aries, Saturn moving, everything I've been saying has been correct up to this point, but Aries, Saturn's moving into your 12th house. Same thing with addictions, full moon on your 6th house, shining a light on your health and your day-to-day routines. Taurus, Saturn is moving into your 11th house. So with Saturn moving into your 11th house, again, maybe setting boundaries with friends, and the full moon is shining a light on your 5th house. And the full moon in your 5th house is shining a light on your children, on romance, and entrepreneurship. Again, I apologize. I don't want to go through and refilm all this because everything I said has been true up to this point. I just I noticed in my notes I had written it backwards. So I thought I was going to talk about the full moon first, I think. Then Gemini, for you, Saturn's moving into your 10th house. You are being asked to really put your nose down to the grind and focus on your career and let go of any distractions, which Gemini, you can get distracted at times. Get clear with your vision of what you want for your career. This full moon is happening in your 4th house, shining a light on your home and your family. You may be wanting to go through, again, declutter, all that I just mentioned. Cancer, Saturn is moving into your 9th house. Saturn moving into your 9th house, you very well would benefit from some kind of sadhana, something that is a spiritual practice that is going to really lift you up to the next level. You also may be called to embark in some kind of higher learning, whether it's spiritual or just something, even a master's degree or something like that. With Saturn there, you will have the discipline to work through it. The full moon is shining a light on your 3rd house, and the 3rd house is siblings, short distance travel, and anything dealing with writing, speaking, teaching, anything of that nature. Leo, Saturn is moving into your 8th house. Now, the 8th house is the house of deep psychological and mysticism. Saturn moving in there, it may be a great time for you, Leos, if there has been something that has been difficult to deal with, or you feel like you would benefit from talking to someone, starting therapy or something of that nature, where you go through and you clear out the cobwebs and you clear out any of anything that is keeping you from emotionally and mentally moving forward. This full moon is shining a light on your second house. So really the Saturn in the eighth house, full moon in the second house, this is the money aspect, your money and other people's money. There could be something financially around this full moon that there is a light being shown upon it. And you're looking at where you're spending your money, where maybe it's important to cut back, things like that. Virgo, this is your full moon. So really shining a light on who you are and how you want to step out into the world, looking at your health, things of that nature. Now, this Saturn moving into your seventh house could mean a few things. Your one-on-one relationships, there could be, it's important that you, either commit. If you've been wanting to take the relationship to the next level, this full moon and Saturn moving into Pisces is really going to ask you to commit and be disciplined and faithful and monogamous in that relationship. Saturn moving in there can also end some relationships, ones that are no longer working and that you've been kicking the can down the road. With Saturn moving into Pisces in your seventh house, you may finally realize it's time to let go of relationships that are no longer serving you. Libra, this full moon, we'll talk about the full moon first, is happening in your 12th house. 12th house, so you may feel like going inward this full moon, and really just letting go, decluttering. Look at any areas where maybe you have some addictive tendencies. Your dreams may be really, really vivid. Keep a dream journal for sure, Libra. Saturn is moving into your sixth house. So you also are being asked to look at what you put into your body, the food that you eat. Are you eating too much sugar, too many sweets, Libra? Is it time to start an exercise routine, or just look at your day-to-day routines and have more structure to your day? Add more structure. Scorpio, this full moon is happening in your 11th house, shining a light on the people that you spend time with, your friendships, things like that. And really asking yourself, do these tribes of people, do these groups you're spending time with, do these friendships still serve you? And if no, then if not, then being willing to cut those cords. This Saturn is moving into your fifth house. So Saturn moving into your fifth house, you may need to set boundaries with children, or set boundaries so that you can become mama bear, papa bear, and really just protect your children in any way that you are being called to do so. Saturn moving into the fifth house too, you may be called to an entrepreneurial or even a creative pursuit, and you're being asked to actually put in the work and make it happen. Sagittarius, this full moon is happening in your 10th house, which is all about shining a light on your career. So you will be in the spotlight, you will be asked to shine. And you're being asked to, with Virgo there, really get more organized, manage your business better. What do you need to let go of so that you can be more efficient in the work that you're doing? And then Saturn moving into your fourth house, you are definitely being asked to pare down to the essentials, let go. Let go of the things that you don't need anymore, that are just cluttering your space, because they're cluttering your mind as well. You may eventually be asked to downsize or move, or maybe not, but you will be asked to become a bit more of a minimalist these next couple years when Saturn is in your fourth house. Capricorn, this full moon is happening in your 9th house, shining a light on, you may be called to international pursuits or looking at your spiritual journey, or even you as well, higher learning. You may be asked to relocate. Saturn moving into your 3rd house, you will be looking at things with a fine-tooth comb. Anything reading, writing, speaking. You may find that you're not doing as much short distance travel as you were before. Things like that. And finally, last but not least, Aquarius. This full moon is happening in your 8th house, which is the house of other people's money, but it's also the house of mysticism and psychology. So taking a deep dive on anything you've kind of brushed under the rug. Sometimes Aquarius has the tendency to detach. I have a lot of Aquarius in my chart. So with the full moon shining a light on your 8th house, looking at those deep corners of your psyche. Also, this is the money access for you as well. You have Saturn moving into your 2nd house. You will be asked to look very deeply at where you spend your money. Look at your possessions. Get rid of what isn't serving you. Maybe even sell some of it, and budget. Some people don't like the word budget, but it actually, Saturn in the 2nd house is asking you to set clear boundaries on where you're spending your money, how and why. So this was a longer video, a lot to talk about. Listen back for your rising sign, your sun and your moon. Stay tuned. I will have some exciting news coming out soon on some offerings that I'm going to have in the fall. So stay tuned. I'm still working out the details, and then I will share that with you. Thank you again for listening, as always, and sharing and liking and helping me grow the channel. Have a wonderful Virgo full moon, and I will see you in the next video.